Sometimes a story can carry a game, and that's kind of the case with The Secret of Darkwood, a free-to-play text-based RPG. The gameplay boils down to choosing an action from a list of 2 to 4 options. When talking to villagers, you have a list of dialogue options that let you act how you kind of want to act. So if you want to be a jerk, you can be a jerk. If you want to be nice to the person, you can do that. Or you can just walk away silently. If you want to see your inventory, your quests, then you need to check out the character sheet, which is always accessible, regardless of what you're doing. It gives you the feel of this being like a D&D game, or like Hero Quest, or something like that. You have a simplified set of things that you can choose from your character sheet. And you can see things like your character health and your condition, a list of skills that you have, and what your level and experience is. The experience was kind of weird because it just gives you a number. There's no, you have 10 and you need like 20 more in order to get leveled up or something like that. I was expecting kind of like a fraction to be shown, but that wasn't there. So it kind of felt like you gaining levels was a little bit random. You can also see your stats like strength, endurance, speed, dexterity, intelligence, and luck. You also see like a modifier added onto them. So you'll see the number like 8 or 9, and then there'll be parentheses, which gives a higher number. So something like 11 to 12. And that just shows what your equipment is doing to your stats. The combat in the game is odd, to say the least. It fits with like the tabletop vibe of the game, so something like a dice roll. And you have like different modifiers that are added onto your attacks. Some of your attacks include using your strength, speed, dexterity, or endurance in order to fight the monsters. This makes sense for 2 of them. I understand attacking with all of your strength or with your speed. I don't really understand the dexterity or the endurance attacks. This is really just like a minor criticism. He had to throw in like the developer had to put in multiple attacks, because you can't just have attack and run in there. You kind of want to have an option. Sometimes these attacks will always fail, which can be a little frustrating, but it helps with decision making when you run into an enemy that is probably too strong for you. You'll see, attack with all your strength. It'll show your strength stat, and then parentheses, will always fail. This kind of prompts you to just run away and then try to complete some of the more minor quests in order to build up your experience and whatnot, so that you can come back and try again. The inventory is kind of annoying, to say the least. Everything's there in like one long list, so all of your crafting items, your equipment, your consumable items, so like bread, wine, that sort of thing, and your healing items are all tossed into one long list that you have to scroll through in order to find anything that you want. It was really annoying to go through something like that. I'm not sure how the developer could do this to kind of clean it up a little bit, and it's not really a huge deal, but it was kind of bothersome for me. This is the part of the game that I really loved the most. Specifically, I like the way like the undead and swamp monsters look. The way the monsters look is different enough to stand out in some ways. Some creatures have kind of been used to death, so everybody knows what like a skeleton knight or goblin or something like that looks like. You have like that image in your mind. But looking at the way that Secret of Darkwoods presents their characters, they look different enough to kind of stand out from the way these creatures have been used in everything else. Even something as simple as just having a crocodile, it looks different enough from what you would see in many other RPGs out there. I really like the art style of these images. The dungeons, the caves, sewers, they all give off like a threatening look when you just look at the pictures that are presented along with the text. And you get the impression that this is an older world, like this place has been around for many hundreds of years, and you're only experiencing just a slice of that. You're only looking at like this one story in a place that probably has hundreds of stories told about it. These pictures do a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to giving you the game's world. Because it's set up like a visual novel, there isn't a lot of there isn't any animation that goes into it. We just have text and we have pictures, so you get a description of what this place is, and you see an image of what the developer believes this place should look like, and that allows you to kind of take that picture and use your imagination to create more stuff around it. So pushing down like the side streets or other parts of this dungeon or anything like that, it allows you to just think about other things that could be a little bit scarier than what's presented. It's a really cool way of doing things. And it reminds me a lot of other like text-based RPGs or stuff like that where you don't know what things necessarily look like, but you get to create this stuff in your head. It reminds me of a horror director who once said, what you don't show is scarier than what you can actually see, because the audience can come up with stuff in their own imagination that's so much worse than anything that you can show on the screen. Worse meaning, scary or anything like that. It's like reading through a book and you get that image in your mind of what a valley looks like, what a town looks like. You use the descriptive words in the text to create that entire environment. And that's sort of how this whole thing plays out. You're given a frame of reference and then you can just kind of take it from there with your imagination. The music actually helps out quite a bit with this, especially when you're in the dungeons and things get very atmospheric and spooky. It's awesome. I really love the experience of just playing through this game, reading the text, and getting an idea of what the developer believes this place looks like, and just taking that whole idea and running with it. It's a lot of fun. This is a story that I feel like I've played before multiple times. Your character wakes up in a forest without remembering who they are. From there, you kind of piece things together by completing different quests. You have the main quest line, and then you have a bunch of side quests that you can pick up along the way. The main storyline is pretty interesting because you're unraveling this whole conspiracy, and you're never really sure who's telling you the truth. And you have a few dialogue options, so if you play through one way, you can always, try again, play through it in a different way. There's nothing like what is it? I'm having a brain fart right now. It's not like with other visual novels where you can just kind of stop and you'll end up dying or something like that. You keep going regardless, so you have chances to go back and play the game over and over again. Eventually, it turns out that you have to overthrow the king, which is kind of interesting at times. It feels like this plot is from... I'm not saying that this is, but it feels like 2 or 3 different games that I played sort of put together. And I really like it. I mean, you're going around, you're gathering up different allies. Those allies have their own quest lines that they want you to do. So it really does feel like that, like an open world RPG that's just been turned into a text-based RPG. The side quests I want to talk about here for a minute because it feels like I ran out of them. One of the ways that you get the side quests is by talking to some random villagers. And probably about 3 to 3.5 hours into the game, it felt like I ran out of side quests that I could do. It was a little weird, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I did too many of them. But it is kind of interesting that they're even there. So you talk to a random villager, or you talk to somebody in one of the taverns, they give you a quest to go do, and you go accomplish whatever that is. So it could be delivering a letter to someone, it could be trying to find somebody's missing child, it could be helping two really terrible parents who let their child die and now is a zombie, so you have to go kill the zombie. It gets pretty weird. And it's a lot of fun to go through and just see what else is in this game. A lot of the criticisms I have of The Secret of Darkwoods are really kind of minor. Like, they're not anything that would really dissuade me from recommending this game. It was a ton of fun to go through and just play through the different storylines and see exactly what I could and couldn't do in the game. At times it was a little frustrating, especially when I got into a fight where I didn't have a chance to win. And that could be somewhat annoying at times, but it's just a reminder that you need to explore and take up more quests and try to level up. There also was one issue where I'm not really sure how I get more health points. It seems like you're locked at 20, which, I don't know, it feels a little bit like Magic the Gathering in that way, where you're just stuck at 20 hit points, and unless you've done something that you have to go out of your way to do, you're not going to get more than that. I'm sure there's a trick to it. There's probably something in the game that I've missed, but hey, that's part of the fun of these. Just exploring, finding out what you can and can't do, collecting different items, and seeing what you can actually pull off in this, given the limitations of the format and everything, with it being mostly text-based. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.